So let's hear it again for Kirsten. We're welcoming you back from New York. So happy Mother's Day. So today we're celebrating the transformative power of the nurturer, otherwise known as mother. And I want to cover a little bit of history that, a form of Mother's Day has been celebrated for thousands of years. In ancient Greek and Roman times, it was an annual spring festival. And then in Europe, the fourth Sunday of Lent became the day that was dedicated to the Virgin Mary, and prayers were said to the Virgin Mary. And from there, it morphed into a holiday called Mothering Day, which is still celebrated today. And the roots in the United States of Mother's Day, as many of you probably know, is it actually started as an anti-war protest by Julia Ward Howe, who wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic and was so appalled by what she saw during the Civil War that she set forth a proclamation that it would never happen again. And part of that speech goes, "Arise then, women of this day, arise, all women who have hearts. In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a great Congress of women, without limits of nationality, may be appointed to promote the alliance of the different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, and the great and general interests of peace." So that's where the roots of this holiday in the United States came from, was from Julia Ward Howe. It then was picked up in a different way by Anna Jarvis, who felt that her mother deserved a holiday, that all mothers deserved a holiday. And so by May 8th, 1914, the second Sunday of May was designated as Mother's Day from here on out. I believe that Maya Angelou said and summed up motherhood in this statement. She said, "I will look after you, and I will look after anybody you say needs to be looked after. Only any way that you say, I am here, I brought my whole self to you, I am your mother." I want to say it again. "I will look after you, and I will look after anybody you say needs to be looked after. Any way you say, because I am here, I have brought my whole self to you, I am your mother." And is that not motherhood? I bring my whole self to you. The nurturer helps us not just live, but thrive. And there are some women who are not nurturers at all, and there's some men who are great nurturers, so it's not limited to gender. But when we nurture, we emulate Mother Earth, who brings her whole self to us. The definition of nurture is to care and encourage the growth and development of another. It's where we get the word nurse. And how many of you have ever been in the hospital and have been so grateful for the nurses, again, of both genders, who surrounded you and who helped you and who healed you? In 97, I was in ICU for 3 days. I was really sick. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, and there was a nurse, and she would brush my hair. And it was like, because you're kind of like awake and asleep when you're in that place. And it was like there was this angel standing over me who was just sort of appear and then disappear. And I always remembered that. And then when I woke up and came to, I thought, was she actually real? Did she exist? And she did. She was just this incredible nurturer that held me during that time. I was lucky to have a nurturing mom. I know that some of us have great dads and horrible moms, and some of us have horrible dads and great moms, and some of us have great both parents, and some not so much either one. But I always felt that I could do anything because of my mom. I didn't need anybody else's blessing. I didn't need anybody else's approval as long as I had hers, and I can't remember a time when I didn't have it. When I was in high school, all I wanted to do was travel, and so I kept making plans, and they would fall apart, and I'd make plans, and they'd fall apart. And then when I was 20, I'm like, "Ma, I think I might want to go to Africa." And she said to me, "Well, just stop talking about it and just go do it." Now, my father, I didn't tell until almost the night before I left because he would have tried to stop me if he could. And when my mom died, I felt like a rug had been pulled out from underneath me. Anybody else feel that when you lost your mom? There's this pillar that's sort of gone. And one of the ways I think that I dealt with it is I started cooking Midwest food, which I didn't really even care about that much before. But all of a sudden, it's mashed potatoes and gravy, and it's the Midwestern food. So our moms kind of live through us, or not through us, but they live in us, just as our dads do, just as our ancestors do. They live in and through us. And there's this wonderful story that I just saw yesterday about the Mariners' first base coach. I don't know how many of you saw this. Casey Candel's mother always supported his baseball career. And when he was a little kid, she would pitch to him, she'd play catch, she'd throw him ground balls. And he said, I just thought that every mom could do that. And she'd say, yeah, I played baseball, when I was young. That's my granddaughter Dakota over there in the corner. She's going to speak someday. No. And he said, I thought every mom could do this. And she said, yeah, I played baseball when I was younger. And he said, you mean softball? She said, no, I played baseball when I was younger. She never talked much about what she did. And his brother started to research what the mom actually did and found out that she played 5 years with the All-American Baseball League. Yeah. And his brother made a documentary about it, which then ended up being the movie, A League of Their Own. How many of you saw that? And he said that the whole time when he was playing professional baseball, he said, I always felt like my mother was playing with me, that her soul was a part of the baseball and her soul was a part of every action that I did. And it's amazing how that energy just kind of moves through us. So being a mother, for me, has been one of the most rewarding and amazing experiences of my life. When I had my son, I realized that I sort of became a mother to all beings, not just to my son, but once you become a mom, you're a mom to everybody and everything. And the Metta Sutta says that even as a mother protects with her life, her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. So that we should all be this nurturer, we should all be this mother to all living beings. And how many of you, when you have had a child, wondered if you could love the second one as much as the first, right? And you do. The heart is so expansive in its capacity for love. And I also have two amazing stepdaughters who have grown into just beautiful and incredible women. That's Tiffany over there, and my other stepdaughter lives in Oregon. And together they have 4 children, and I'm as deeply connected to them as I am to my own kids. And Harmony's here in the first row. Yes, Dakota, it's true. So today we honor all moms, whether you're a stepmom, an adopted mom, a foster mom, a biological mom, a kitty mom, a doggy mom, or a mom to your friends and your coworkers, because again, it's that celebration of the nurturer. Marvin Ashton said, be the one who nurtures and builds. Be the one who has an understanding and a forgiving heart, one who looks for the best in people and leave people better than when you found them. To me, that's what a mom does, right? That's what that nurturing energy does. And I want to speak that our moms have such great power, because again, like my mom, if my mom had said, I don't know that you should actually go on this trip, I probably would have doubted myself, right? But she always said, go ahead, you can do it. You can do whatever you want to do. On the same token, our moms can have the opposite effect, can't they? Because they have incredible power. So I'm speaking to you moms out there to encourage and bless, not just your kids, but everybody as well. So the nurturer is transformative. And being a mother doesn't stop even if your child dies. You are still a mother, and your child is still your child. Again, I know that this holiday is filled with lots of emotion if you've lost your mom or your child, but I wanted to share a piece of a woman who lost her child and to express what that's like for her on Mother's Day. She said, "It's excruciating knowing that my child will never return to my arms. However, a mother's love for her child doesn't require a physical presence. This can be proven by the fact that most mothers love their children well before they're even born. I will love my child forever, and therefore I will grieve my child forever. This is just how it goes. Beyond that, acknowledge me as a mother. It makes me feel forgotten and as though my child has been forgotten when people act as if my child never existed. It really doesn't matter to me because I'd like to it doesn't matter if you talk to me about stories that I've heard about my child because it may be something that I've never heard. Your acknowledgement alone is one of the greatest Mother's Day gifts that you could give me." So we recognize that motherhood goes beyond this physical form. And being a mom doesn't stop even if you give your child up for adoption. I've been studying different stories about adoption and biological parents, adopted parents, and I have a piece that was written by an adopted mom who said that each experience, because she adopted 2 or 3 kids, and then she had 2 or 3 biological kids. She said that each experience was equally emotional and life-changing. However, the experience of adopting has given me a unique perspective on motherhood, teaching me some new truths and reinforcing what I believe to be true about parenting. My love for my children is not dependent on our biological connection, because adoptive families, step-parents, and blended families know well that family goes beyond biology and that family connections can be formed in many ways. What's interesting to me is when a biological child finds its biological mother, and the connections that exist are very strange. There was one where they were meeting, and the biological mom said, "You know, I have a birthstone ring, and I have a birthstone for all of my children, and so your stone is also here because you've always been my child." And her daughter, who they had never met before, that other than this one time, shows her ring and says, "You know, I have a birthstone ring too for all of my children." And I'm thinking, who wears birthstone rings, you know? In some cases, the child may be a musician and find out later that the biological parents were music teachers or musicians. But the one story that I read most recently is about an 83-year-old woman who was adopted, and she loved her family and just everything was great. She never had a desire to find her biological parents ever. But her daughter-in-law got curious, and she said, "I think I'm going to try to find your mom." "Well, I'm 83 years old." She's like, "Okay, go ahead, try to find my mom." She found her, 99 years old. She was 15 when she gave birth to her daughter and had to give her up for adoption. And so they traced this woman and they called her. And, you know, and first when she realized it wasn't a scam and that it actually was someone that was looking for her, she had kept this a secret from her family for 83 years. She had never told, other than her husband, she never told a soul, and she had 2 or 3 kids. So when her son came over later in the day to help her get ready for bed, she just broke down crying, and she said, "I have to tell you something. I have another daughter. I have another child." And so they had a reunion, and I have to share it directly with you because it's quite precious. On April 25th, 10 days after Haman's, that's the daughter's name, 83rd birthday, she and her husband arrived in Monroe, Wisconsin. Wagner recalled using her walker to get closer to the window so that she could see her daughter and her husband approach. And her daughter and her husband also had their walkers. And they made their way up the driveway. She immediately saw the resemblance in her daughter's face. For 2.5 hours, the mother and daughters talked and discovered uncanny similarities. Both women had large hands, and both women had played golf until they were 85 years old. The only reason they gave it up is because their knees gave out and their balance was off. At the end of the story, the mother said she has simple requests to mark her century of life: a gathering in the church hall, some pulled pork sandwiches, cake, punch, and her family gathered together in one room for the first time in her life. What an amazing story. So there's this incredible connection that goes, again, beyond words. It goes beyond biology. It goes beyond anything it's why it's such a powerful day. It's why there's so much emotion that moves through this day. Again, Maya Angelou said it: I will look after you, and I will look after anybody you say needs to be looked after. Any way you say, I am here. I brought my whole self to you. I am your mother. In closing, I'd like to offer up a prayer for all women who are here. Mothers, not mothers, we're all nurturers, but I'm going to stay with women. So if you're able to please stand, I would invite all women, all girls to please stand. God of Sarah and Hagar, Naomi and Ruth, Esther and Deborah, God of Mary and Elizabeth, Mary and Martha, Mary Magdalene, and all the unnamed women of Scripture, Kuan Yin, Athena, Diana, Demeter, and Durga, as you anointed these women with the oil of faith and calling, so anoint women everywhere. As you bless these women with finding the courage and strength, persistence and perseverance within them, so bless women everywhere. As you transform the world through the vision and work of these women, continue to transform the world through the vision and work of good women everywhere. From California to Florida, from Chile to Uganda, may women continue to form and build community in ways that birth justice, love, and peace among us. In gestation and through compassion, keep them focused, strong, steadfast, and unwavering. God bless the women who continue to work tirelessly for all manner of good. Continue to make them vessels of your sustenance, instruments of your peace, and an inspiration to all. Amen. Women. So may we all be transformed through the power of the nurturer. Happy Mother's Day.